So here's a story that I somehow missed when it originally happened because apparently the media didn't cover it nearly as much as they should have. So David Moy reports here. A murder suspect accused of coming to New York to kill as many black men as he could will face trial on charges of terrorism, according to New York County District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. On Monday, James Harris Jackson, 28 years old, of Baltimore, was indicted on one count each of first and second degree murder as an act of terrorism for the March 20th stabbing of Timothy Kaufman, 66 years old. He previously was charged with second degree murder as a hate crime and 3 counts of criminal possession of a weapon. Vance said the hate crime charges were warranted because of the cold-blooded way he chose his victim, according to a statement released to the press. So, you're going to see in a second here that there's really no extrapolation or extra evidence gathering necessary because the guy just comes out and says it. And yeah, it's finally, this is the first time in a long time I've seen the proper application of terrorism used. Because usually the case is, especially with the media is too far gone with this. Whenever it's a Muslim who does it, terrorism. Even when it was Dylan Roof, they didn't call him a fucking terrorist in the media. I was amazed by it. I was amazed because he couldn't make it any more clear. He also had a fucking manifesto that they found where he's like, you know, I believe in the racist state of Rhodesia. I believe in apartheid. I believe in segregation. I'm a neo-Confederate. White people are superior to black people. Yada, 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 yada. And they called him a murderer. Well, no, the definition of terrorism is doing violence to civilians for a political or religious reason. Well, that's a classic example of it. I mean, it's white supremacist terrorism. Granted, it's not Islamic terrorism, it's not jihadism, but it's a form of terrorism because it's a political or religious reason. That's a political reason. But all the time, whenever it's the right-wingers or white supremacists, very rarely do you actually get it called out, and very rarely do you ever get charges for terrorism. If you get charges, it's like murder or something like that. Here they're saying, no, this was terrorism. And again, they're getting it from the guy's quotes. All right, so let's continue. James Jackson prowled the streets of New York for 3 days in search of a black person to assassinate in order to launch a campaign of terrorism against our Manhattan community and the values we celebrate. Last week, with total presence of mind, he acted on his plan, randomly selecting a beloved New Yorker solely on the basis of his skin color and stabbing him repeatedly and publicly on a midtown street corner. James Jackson wanted to kill black men, planned to kill black men, and then did kill a black man. Kaufman was rummaging through trash looking for bottles and cans when he was fatally stabbed with a 26-inch sword. When Jackson turned himself in, about 24 hours later, police said he told officers he came to New York from Baltimore, quote, for the purpose of killing black men. They continue. Jackson reportedly acknowledged the crime to the New York Daily News, saying he wanted to discourage white women from getting romantically involved with black men. Quote, I didn't know he was elderly, Jackson told the paper. He added that he would have rather killed a young thug or a successful older black man with blondes. People you see in Midtown. These younger guys that put white girls on the wrong path. All right, can we note the overwhelming, insane idiocy and irony of him calling anybody a thug? Yeah, I killed random black men because they're black, but I should have killed a young thug black guy. You know how they are, stealing our women, drain on society. The fuck are you? You're not a drain on society? You're not a thug? You're killing people solely on the basis of their skin color, you jackass. You terrorist. It's this kind of thinking that is, I feel like it's one of the driving themes of secular talk, one of the things we've been talking about for years and will continue to talk about, because it always baffles me to no end that so many people seem incapable of applying the same standards to themselves that they apply to others. So, I mean, it goes without saying, obviously, if there's a black guy who kills a white guy for the fact that he's a white guy and the black guy's against white guys, this guy was a terrorism, thug, terrible person, immoral, yada, yada. Every negative thing in the book. We know what he'd really call him. Starts with N. But he doesn't view it as him committing the same evil act if you just flip the script. He doesn't view himself as a thug, even though he literally admits, I am going to kill random black people. I am going to kill a random person who didn't do anything wrong. But you're not a thug somehow, magically. You're not a terrorist somehow, magically, even though you're doing the textbook definition of terrorism, and you are clearly a thug. So we need to stop with the tribalism, man. We need to stop with the racism, the bigotry, the xenophobia, the tribalism. He's responsible for his actions, and it's just amazing that I can't believe I missed this story. This story happened a little while ago. I missed it. I'm already at the point where he's in fucking court and getting indicted and shit. How did that happen? If you flip the script, if it was, for example, a Muslim who kills a non-Muslim, says, yeah, I did it because he's an infidel. I looked for an infidel to kill him. Headline news, Donald Trump would be tweeting about it. We'd hear nothing but that for 3 days straight. Jihadist infiltration. ISIS gets... But a story about white supremacist terrorism, where the guy admits, yeah, I killed him because he's black, and aren't they thugs, and aren't they terrorists, and aren't they horrific, even though I'm the thug and the terrorist, barely gets a mention to the point where I follow the news every day, and I didn't see it. That's unreal.